MapleStory the Novel, Season 1, Sacred Tears. Written by Tatsumari. Chapter 24, Part 1. Awakening. Opening her eyes, the girl looked all around at the vast darkness surrounding her. All was dark, save for her. There was no ground, no air, no sea, only a vast emptiness broken only by the light shining from her body. Whispers passed her ear, drawing her attention in many directions. But everywhere she looked, she only found more emptiness.
Hello? 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 Is anyone there? Is anyone there?
She called, her voice slowly dying in echoes. Silence was her only answer. Time seemed to have no meaning, no direction, and with nothing surrounding her, how did she exist?
Where did I come from? Have I always been here?
She thought, extending her hand into the nothingness, feeling her body move in that direction as wind caressed her skin.
Who am I?
She wondered, looking down at herself. The light humming on her skin dimmed, revealing her naked body.
Yeah! Where are my clothes?
She exclaimed, feeling a chilly breeze all around her, instantly stopping and hugging herself. As if out of instinct, she imagined a full dress slung over her shoulders that flowed from her hips. Within moments, the dress appeared, enveloping her body lovingly. She then imagined daintily strapped sandals for her feet and a gold wire crown on her head, which also appeared in their respective places.
Who am I? How did I do that? Can I do more?
She wondered, looking to her feet.
What's my name? Do I even have a name?
As she pondered, images of a world she had never seen came to mind. Forests and plains, cities and countryside. It was one she swore she'd never seen or visited.
Why would I imagine something like this? Have I ever seen these things? These images feel more like memories. Or are they merely things that I wish to know? These feel like imaginations of others, but I'm the only one here.
Looking around, she confirmed that she was indeed the only one there. However, it felt as if thousands of presences and minds spun around or within her. It was frightening and strangely comforting. So many minds existed beside and within hers. Did these minds need somewhere to live? If so, what better place to have them live than in one of the many images she had seen? Once again, she looked down at her feet, extending her leg and stretching her toes down until she felt something solid. As she flattened her foot, soil and grass spread from it. Hills, ponds, and marshes appeared as more of the ground formed around her. After a few moments, vast plains surrounded by majestic mountains appeared, surrounded by a regal blue sea crashing upon the shores. As she wandered across her new creation, she came to a great desert to the west. Rock formations stood tall everywhere, some forming canyons with a rainbow of differing sedimentary colors. To the north, the mountains rose high into the air, pointing out the empty blackness that still surrounded this entire world. She thought for a while, imagining an immense blue sky dotted with fluffy white clouds. As she stared and thought, the air around her exploded into color, punching back the emptiness in a great swell of blue and white. No sooner had the colors settled into place than the magnificence faded from view, enveloped by darkness once again. The colors of the world cooled to dim and faded hues of their former brilliance, though it wasn't as deep or as pressing as the darkness she had awoken in.
No! The colors need to be bright. The world can't be like this. No one will be able to see,
she called. She tried to imagine the world as a brighter place, but nothing she thought of seemed to make a difference. As she attempted to imagine different things, a spark of light formed in the darkness, darting over the plains and flowers swaying in the gentle breeze. As it darted, the light hovered near the girl who leaned against a large tree, reaching across her stomach and holding her opposite elbow. Shielding her eyes against the light, she almost felt drawn to its presence.
Well, that's what I need, but I don't know what to make that would create it,
she muttered to herself when the light began to grow and took on the form of a person. Well, hello, new goddess. What is your name? The person asked with a kind, melodic tone, the light calming enough to see his featureless form better. At the center of his chest sat a ragged split where specks of light and swirls of power spread through his limbs like tree roots. After a few moments, 2 white eyes opened in what she could call a head, squinting at her as though smiling.
I don't know. I only knew that I existed, and as I imagined things, they began to appear. But I created a sky and now everything's dark,
she bemoaned. The man smiled and nodded. Ah, yes. Creating a sky does leave the world dark. This world you are creating is a brand new one, and the Light Spirit has assigned me to be this world's light and conduit. As such, I will help you illuminate it. With a wave of his hand, the sky blazed when a sun began to form over the horizon. Reds, golds, and even some greens shone as the great yellow mass ascended in the sky. When the sun had risen above the horizon, she turned to begin making something else when she came face to face with a large blue lion. The sight of him made her jump back, falling to the ground. Ah, Nexus, I was beginning to wonder when you would show yourself. I believed you would have beaten me here, seeing as she is the goddess of this world. The light spirit smiled. Nexus turned his black and red eyes to him, nodding slowly, making his cream-colored mane wave with the motion and adjusting his leathery wings when the hair tickled them.
Finding this world was difficult, Naven. But now that I am here,
Nexus answered, holding up his paw as an ethereal cloud seeped from it. The cloud appeared to look around before gravitating toward the girl, swirling around her almost like a loving pet.
What's this?
She asked, holding out her hand, allowing the cloud to rest in her palm.
That cloud is Khaled, the time spirit and conduit for this world. It can become any form you can think of.
She looked at the presence, almost able to see a face looking at her with expectant and eager eyes. As if from a faraway memory, the image of a sprawling temple in the clouds came to mind. The presence sensed her forming thought as some of its form reached out, surrounding her head before streaking into the sky. Brick by brick, the grand building she had imagined began to take shape, spreading out until its enormous form towered high above the ground, surrounded by ribbons of light. Nexus placed a paw on her shoulder, instantly transporting them within the building. Miles upon miles of arches held up by round columns lined the halls. Fountains of sand stood throughout the building, while a steady rhythm quietly clicked throughout. On the walls appeared to be gears and mechanisms that made up clocks. As they toured, creatures began to appear. Many of them were sentient sand timers with small wings on top and a single eye floating on the sand within. Humanoid creatures dressed in brilliant green, blue, and red robes roamed the halls, accompanied by other creatures made of armor. Green, blue, or red flames quietly thundered from the plume of their helms and torsos, each creature bowing to them as they walked.
What is all this? I don't know what any of it is, yet it all feels so familiar somehow. Who am I? Or rather, who was I?
Nexus sighed through his nose, his long tail whipping through the air as his horns glowed.
You mean You don't remember?
Nexus asked, narrowing his eyes.
Remember what? Is there something I'm supposed to remember about who I am?
She asked, her voice becoming desperate. Nexus tilted his head and stared at her long and hard. She almost felt as if she had done something wrong as he remained motionless in his stare.
It would appear she didn't intend for this to happen. You've forgotten all of it.
Nexus answered cryptically. She kept waiting for some kind of answer, but this great blue lion wasn't giving her anything except more questions. Gripping his mane, her voice began to crack while demanding answers.
Nexus, please. Who am I? Have I done or forgotten something important? Please tell me, I need to know. Nexus, please. Who am I? Have I done or forgotten something important? Please tell me, I need to know.
She begged. Nexus nodded, rubbing the top of her head with his massive paw.
Apologies, goddess. I meant no harm.
He smiled.
You are Rhinne, goddess of this world and of time. If you ever require my help, do not hesitate to call me.
Rhinne eased her grip on his mane, letting the sound of her name mull in her mind.
Rhinne. That's a pretty name. But what have I forgotten? Is it something important?
No, child. Pardon, goddess. It is not important. In time you will learn who you are, but for now, you have a world to name and populate. What shall you call this world of yours?
Nexus asked, guiding her to the railing where she could overlook the entirety of the world below her. From her vantage point, the world seemed so small, whereas from ground level, it had seemed expansive.
I feel as if this world is so old, yet it has only just begun. Is that strange?
Rhinne asked, and Nexus smiled, shaking his head. Minutes passed as Rhinne thought about what she could name this new world of hers. It would have to be something that sounded stout, something that sounded as if the world had been there for a very long time, despite its young age.
Old Fern? No. Old Springs? No, too lazy. Old Horizon? No. It has to be well established but still new. Sap. Yes, Sap. Short for sapling.
As she contemplated the name and the spelling of her new world, she gathered a handful of sand and spread it on the dirt to write it out. Eventually, she settled on a name, complete with its spelling.
Nexus, I have a name for this world. Olde Sapp.
The light spirit, Rhinne, joined Nexus and was told the name of the world. Now remember, once you have named this world, you can never undo it. Doing so would require you to destroy the world and start anew.
Yes, Rhinne, I am certain. I would like to name this world Olde Sapp.
The moment she finished speaking, thunder cracked across the skies as golden light shot skyward, parting the clouds above, exploding over one of the continents of her world before gathering together and disappearing from view.
What was that?
Rhinne exclaimed with wide-eyed wonder and terror. Rhinne smiled as he looked to Rhinne. That was the birth of the very root of the world. The one thing that will allow life to exist here in Olde Sapp. The World Tree. It has a direct connection to the Erdus flow and will grow in proportion to the number of people who reside in this dimension. Every dimension has one, and it takes the form of a different tree in each, he explained, placing a hand on her shoulder and teleporting them to the small maple sapling.
So, how do I make this grow?
Rhinne asked, crouching next to it and brushing her fingers across one of its delicate leaves. By having people inhabit this world. It grows in reaction to the number of people living here. Rhinne considered his words. Were the presences in her mind people waiting to be born? To be given form? Jitters ran through her body as she thought of how these people should look, what it would take to make them, or at least provide them a way to exist.
What if I use pieces of the world to make them a body?
She thought. Looking at her own body, she felt along her arms, legs, chest, and back, feeling the hard bones within her skin. Was that what kept her upright? If so, what would she use to make them? While the bones needed to be strong, she wanted to make it mean something. Something that would show these people just how valuable they were to her and to each other. As she thought, her eye caught a glimpse of a yellowish metal lying on the ground.
Yes, that's it!
Her mind shouted with glee. Turning away from the small sapling and holding her palms out as gold seeped from the dirt, forming the bones Rhinne had felt in her own body. With another wave, she multiplied and completed the skeletons. But they were all the same height and size. If they remained uniform, there would be so many boring people. With waves of her arms and intricate movements of her fingers, some of the skeletons became taller and larger, while others became shorter and smaller, combining into hundreds of different configurations. With the basics in place, she thought about what she could put in their heads. Something that could absorb information and help them learn. There was nothing she could find or think of that would meet her wants, so she set about creating it. When she started, it was almost as large as one of the rooms within Khaled. Days passed as she worked, laying down hundreds of millions of gold threads, each connected to small diamond nodes. The spherical shape of her creation split into two halves. One half was rather plain, made up of symmetrical cubic shapes, while the other was freer formed. The threads meandered through the space, connecting to the nodes in random places.
And what is the purpose of having two halves like this, Rhinne? Wouldn't it be more prudent to have the entire thing made one way or the other?
Nexus asked, having watched her work from the very first day.
I don't think so. This boring side is supposed to help them make choices. This freer side is more to allow them to be happy, create things, and even imagine.
Nexus nodded his understanding when Rhinne spread her hands out, closing them together as the giant apparatus shrank until it fit within the palms of her hands. The wires and diamonds became so tiny and dense that they almost appeared solid. Going to the skeletons, she opened the head of one and placed the apparatus inside, snapping her fingers as more filled the head of each skeleton.
Now they will need something to help the skeleton move.
Rhinne once again felt her arms and legs, carefully noting the way her own muscles moved, swelled, and changed with each movement, yet remained firm. Rhinne searched the world for something with similar properties and found it on the edge of a marsh, clay. With a wave of her hand, she pulled a mass of it from the ground and brought it back to the skeletons, applying it over the bones. Time passed her by slowly as she painstakingly fashioned each muscle after what she felt in her own body, applying the final form to the rest with a snap, once again mirroring all the configurations standing within her temple. Finally came the skin, a thing she would personally create rather than form it from something in her world. With a gentle caress, Rhinne flowed her hands and fingers over the muscle structure, making the skin as she moved. It took some time, but her completed body now resembled a person.